Hi, everyone. This is Bill Holton from Field Trial Central, and we are back with Field Trial Central Live. And I don't know, I think this might be episode number 6. So one thing that I always like to kind of point out is this is going live, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. It is also will be saved there for all time. So if you need to, you should really share this to your friends and field trial friends and potential dog people that could be interested in field trials down the road. Yeah, just get the word out. What I've always said is if we can keep doing this, we will, and the more people like it, the more we'll do. So tonight we are really lucky to be joined by Greg Blair. Greg is a Purina Rep, works with sporting dogs. Also, Greg is an amateur field trialer and a bird hunter. So, Greg, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome, and thanks, Bill, for everything that you guys do for Field Trial Central. As we'll talk about, I mean, anything that we can do to get in everybody's hands to let them know what we do and how we can help them. This is great.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. It's we're kind of in an odd time of the year generally, anyway.
Yeah.
We're at a little bit weirder times today with the whole COVID-19 crisis, and so this gives us a great opportunity really to sit down and just talk about the things we love to do, field trialing and bird dogs, and before we all can head out to start fishing. But we'll keep doing these all summer anyway. So
Good.
So, Greg, give us a little introduction. Give us a little backstory,
Sure.
how you got started in bird dogs and how you got started field trialing, and
Sure.
We'll work our way forward.
All right. Well, if I ramble on too long, you can just cut me off. But first of all, I was really blessed with a great family, a great foundation of faith and a family. But none of them were hunters. None of them were bird hunters. We had dogs in the house. We had dogs from the farm, but nothing was as far as hunting goes. And as a few of your other guests have mentioned, mentors meant a lot to me. And you can tell as I tell my story, there was a good handful of them, but a few that really have stuck with me. But I started out by hunting with a bunch of my buddies, one with a Springer, one with a wire hair. And when I saw the wire hair in the pointing game, I knew there was no going back. And that's just it's like Ford and Chevy. I took the pointing dog side. And to that, I bought a German short hair in the end of the 90s. And the gentleman that I actually purchased him from was Rick Page, and he was very, very active in shoot to retrieve in Nastra here in Wisconsin. And I didn't have a clue what that meant. I mean, I basically just wanted to hunt to the preserves and go hunting on the wildlife grounds. But he asked me to come up. I would catch birds, I'd plant birds, I'd keep score for basically 2 years while I had that short hair getting ready, getting trained. And, he just basically took me under my wing or his wing and got me going. Little did I know, I mean, I had the competitive piece in me. I mean, I played collegiate sports, and after that was gone, you always kind of find, what can I do to kind of fill that void? And actually shoot to retrieve was great. I mean, it kind of was hunting, you're shooting, you're retrieving, you're running dogs. I was lucky enough with that dog to 2005, I won the Wisconsin Regional, and was high point dog 5, 6, and I think runner up in 2007. So I bit the bug. I mean, I didn't only want to hunt, I wanted to compete and do something even further with that. I think it was in 2008, a friend of mine who I went to high school with, his cousin is Tom Waite, and he is a gun dog and field trial trainer. He called and asked if I'd come up and help him judge a walk-in trial. And I said, Tom, what test do I have to take? Where do I have to? He goes, bird dogs, and I'm going to put you with someone good. And you're going to spend the day with us. And someone good was right. And I think, Rod Line, and he was the first gentleman I got to judge with. So I went up, I judged, and then seeing the field trial game versus the shoot to retrieve game, I knew I wanted to take that step and go on to the broke dog stakes. So in 2008, I kind of stopped running shoot to retrieve and then got into field trialing. And so what's that been? 12 years I've been field trialing in the walking game, a little bit of horseback stuff, but it's more just around here in Wisconsin, up at the Buena Vista and Solon Springs. But So I ran field trials. We have a really couple active, really good clubs here in southern Wisconsin. So we'd run a lot of weekend trials in the spring. And Tom was always there to, help me find a dog, or, kind of watch what I was doing and then pull me aside after I was done and kind of tell me what, I could have done different or what I should have done. And there was always a dog available if I needed to get a different one. Or, if you ask Tom and some of the club members, they'll tell you I have a short leash on a lot of dogs. I don't have much patience, so there was a dog that I really liked. He was a direct son out of Sugar Hill Buckshot that I got. And from the first time Tom took him north to his place in North Dakota, he called me and said, "Greg, you just need to move this dog on. He's a self-hunter. He runs for himself." But it took me 2 years of kicking and screaming before I got rid of him. And that's when I learned that, you need to listen to these guys who are helping you that have probably more knowledge than I'll ever have. So I went on and we kept, we had some good weekend success. And I always wanted that one great dog. And some of you know my background. I have a degree in commercial art. And so I do logo work, websites, and that kind of stuff on the side still to this day. And Dr. Alan Dunbar from the Green Bay area contacted me to do his logo and to do some things. And long story short is I just told Doc, I said, when you have a litter of puppies, or if you come across a prospect that's not going to be your horseback shooting dog, but would be a great walking dog, I said, you can pay me for doing my work by, sending me a puppy. And I always admired his grouse feather Mark, and then Bill, his witch doctor dog after that. And I think there was 2 or 3. Yeah, there was a couple that he said, "I think I got one for you. I'll let you know after I come back from North Dakota." And they weren't the ones. So there again, someone was kind of looking out for me, helping me, knowing what I wanted, and wasn't just ready to blow me off and give me something that I, probably wasn't going to be worth, even running in a walking stakes. And then he got one that he calls and he says, "I think this one will do you well." And it turned out to be that's the dog that I'm winning with right now, Blair's Switch Project. So yeah, that guy's been I say a lifetime dog. Hopefully I can replace him. I've got a young pointer coming up. Yeah, there's Guy there.
That looks a lot like him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's credit to Melissa Miller from Purina at a Purina photo shoot. So I can't take credit for that.
I was curious who took I was going to ask you who took the picture, but yeah, that's a great picture.
That was one. And no, Guy has been, from the day that I got him, he's been a great dog. His Derby season, he won the Wisconsin Cover Dog Championship Derby stake with, I think, 2 or 3 Woodcock broke fines. And then from then on, my daughters handled him to wins. I can handle him. Tom's handled him to wins. But I think we had talked earlier, the biggest thing is he's a bird dog. I mean, the breeding that Doc put behind this is, from Wisconsin woodcock, grouse, pheasants, sharp-tails, prairie chickens, to North Dakota Hungarians, wild pheasants, quail in Georgia. I mean, he's pointed them all, and he's just a bird dog. So we've had a really good run the last couple of years. He's 8 years old now. He's a 4-time champion, a 1-time runner-up. 4 of those championships, 3 of them are national walking championships, and 1's a regional walking championship. So he's been actually, when I say knocking on the door, one of the, I'll never forget it, is when we got to run the NBHA National Championship at Ames, and we got to run at Grand Junction, and being in the callback and just letting him, I can now go and ride and watch, Randy and Jamie and Luke and those guys and look to my right and say, yeah, that guy was pointed right over there. It's pretty cool to say that we were there, but we didn't get anything done there, but he knocked on the door pretty hard. And one of the cool things was at the end, he was pointed. I don't know. We had less than 2 minutes to go. And basically it was our second unproductive. So we got picked up, and one of the judges basically kind of alluded to, if you would have just kind of carried him on, sent him on and finished and not even worked that fine, you might have been knocking on the door. But you know what? We rolled, like Tom said, we rolled the dice. We're here to win it. We're not here to take it from somebody. So he's been a great dog. And like I said, I can't thank Tom enough. I can't thank Dr. Dunbar enough to get me to where I am now. And hopefully the next youngster will come up and help me replace him. He's not
Yeah.
done yet. He's probably got another year or two left, and
Yeah.
I'll run
No,
until he can't.
I would think so. I would think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to have one like that. You know what happens after you get one? Then you
Yeah.
spend a long time looking for another one. But
Right.
it's sure nice to have one that's consistent and is a good bird dog. And like I said, he's a dog that can find wild birds and obviously
Yeah.
handling the NBHA game really well.
Mhm.
So you said he won 3 national championships. One was the National Open Shooting Dog or the NBHA National Championship.
Yep, one was a National Open Championship at Dancyville last year.
Yep.
And then I won 2 national amateurs, the National Amateur Invitational and the National Amateur. And that one at Grove Springs, the National Amateur, was last year, I think a year and a half ago. That's another one I'll never forget, just running at Grove Springs and just fortunately we got to the front. We got separated from the gallery, and really the only people who saw it were myself, the judge, and my scout. So, we just kept going, and it was a great time. So yes, 2 of them are amateur, one of them's an open, and the regional was an open. So
Awesome.
mm-hmm.
So it's somewhere along the road there in the field trial world, you were growing and
Yep.
excelling in that. And how'd you end up at Purina?
With our club, I would say it was probably, I've been with Purina, I'm going to be starting my 6th year in August. So probably about 7 or 8 years ago, a good friend of mine, Dean Ranke, which many of you guys I'm sure know, was working with Purina and, covered the retriever side, but also covered the walking pointing game. And we were at a club trial, and I said, Dean, if you ever retire, I said, I want your job. And I was just saying it in passing, but the opportunity came up. He did not retire, but another individual the position came open, and Dean called me and said, hey, you might want to throw your hat in the ring. And it was exactly 6 years ago, I think May, that I started the process. And in August of 2015, I was hired. So there again, having, great friends and a great club and just keeping in contact with people, it really, I think, coming from the design, marketing, advertising side to doing what I'm doing now, I mean, the marketing it kind of dovetails really well, I feel. And plus I owned an advertising agency for 10 years. So the business side of it, I also had. So in times like now when we're negotiating contracts and working on conservation with people. So yeah, it was 5.5, 6 years ago when I got hired on with Purina. It's been a dream job. If you ask my wife, she says I haven't worked a day in the past 6 years, but I absolutely love it, and I'm blessed to work for a company like Purina.
That's perfect. Well, Purina's obviously been a big supporter of the sport. What segments of the bird dog world are you associated with?
Yeah, so we divide our segments into the retrievers, bird dogs, and the coonhounds and beagles. So I cover all of the bird dogs, and that being all the pointing dog hunt tests, pointing field trials, competitions, all of them in the country. Everything from a Weimaraner to the all-age pointers. So the wire hairs, the Weimaraners, red setters, Irish setters, Brittany's, every single pointing dog event that Purina sponsors falls under my category. And then I have 3 consultants that work for me. Many of you know, obviously, Jim Smith, Terry Trzynski, and Terry Petro. So we kind of divide and conquer, and they'll attend events for us and be there for those competitors, be there for the amateurs, be there for any questions that people have. And Terry Petro, actually from the Minnesota area, he covers a lot of the versatile, like the VDD, the NAVDA, the German testing. That's not really, obviously not field trialing, but more of it's not even really an AKC hunt test. It's a German test,
right?
And Terry's got a great background in that, so he covers that. Terry Trzynski covers a lot of the field trial in the Midwest. He's got a very good background in the AKC world, so we cover all the AKC, American field, anything that's again sanctioned for pointing dogs. And then Jim Smith and I say Jim Smith covers a lot of the horseback and the all age, and then I'll cover pretty much everything. I try to go to as much as I can, but it gets a little busy.
Yeah, I bet it does. So I'm sure there's some people that always wonder, geez, I know that when I go to my local field trial, I go to a championship down the road.
Uh-huh.
There's a Pro Plan banner. There's Pro Plan feed that gets given out
Sure.
to the winners. Any idea how many bags does Pro Plan
Oh boy.
donate a year? I mean,
I couldn't tell you how many bags. I could tell you that since 2016, I just looked it up on my computer because I've been doing some this week. Every year I've placed over 600 orders. Now that could be, for 1 or 2 bags that a gentleman might win where we get handed out certificates, or that could be a whole pallet that's going to a 10-day championship that's got to be handed out. Or it could be 2 pallets like the Short Hair National in Eureka when they're there for 2.5 weeks. They have so many stakes. So it's really hard to tell bag wise. And that doesn't include the ABC, the American Brittany Club, NABDA. Gail in our office, she handles all of those orders, and I never even see them. So, and then that also does not include all the coupon incentives we give out, like for the NBHA, the US Complete, some of the grouse trials. We'll actually send coupons rather than food, so they can buy one, get one free, or buy one, get so much off. So it's a lot.
yeah.
I couldn't really tell you, but you mentioned the banners and the hats and the things that we can support really give us the marketing and the eyes, on those banners when we get the pictures in the field, or social media, like, you guys, will share the posts, or Deb or Ross on the Facebook pages. That's what we're there for, is to be to market to those types of individuals.
In the pointing dog world, any idea how many pros you have that are on staff that are?
Well, we don't have any.
I mean, kind of considered pro staff, but use the product.
Yeah, we don't have anyone on quote unquote staff,
right?
Because you can tell what I just mentioned, the vastness of what we cover. There's no way to, and I don't want to say keep it even, but we couldn't touch everything from Ray Dozy, Diane Vader, to Jamie Daniels, to Luke Eisner, and everything in the Tracy, everything in between. I can tell you probably easier how many aren't.
Yeah.
There's probably, and that's fine as well. I mean, but when you see the 9 out of 10 last national champions, or 91 out of the last 100 champions are fueled by Pro Plan, that's what we can quote unquote hang our cap on, is because the performance in the field is what it shows, and those pros understand the nutrition, the science, the stuff that's behind us. So yeah, it's really hard to tell, but the majority, we really appreciate what they do for us, and how they keep their dogs in the greatest shape, and they're winning, they're competing. It's not an easy job to be on the road, and if we can maybe support them by a little bit of food, but we do not put anybody on the payroll, unfortunately.
No, I kind of realize that, but yeah, there's just there's a lot of them out there that obviously when they win, right, they're tagging.
Oh, they're very appreciative.
Sporting dogs in there. I talked to a number of them, about it, and yeah, it's very important to them. So
and like I said, we can stand behind. The other thing that I like to offer to them, and not even just the pros, the amateurs alike. If we're at an event, myself, Terry, Jim, or Terry, and you have an issue with a dog, I can't keep weight on him, or I think he might be allergic to something, or what, we're there to talk you through the different lines, the Saver, the Sport, the Focus, even our veterinarian line, which is not even, you can't buy it in the store, but you can buy it if a vet prescribes you for a certain thing, for a urinary tract and something, there's a special food that's developed just for a vet. That we can get you in touch with. That's what we're there for. We're there to help you. We're there to answer questions. I mean, we've got a menu line of different lines of food that we can try and get. A lot of times people think their dogs have allergies, and unless it's really comes from a vet, there's a really bad problem. There's usually a change, and we can switch you from chicken to salmon. We could put you on the sensitive skin and stomach, or we could put you on a an adult plus 7, 8. There's something that we can try for you, and that's what we're there for, is to try to help you, and get you through and kind of walk you through what we have to offer.
Yeah, no, it's a great service. So this is probably something I've been around for a really long time as far as years go, but give us a little update on the Pro Club. Give a little pitch, what people should be doing, how they should use it,
Sure.
if they should use it.
No, the most definitely, I think you should check out obviously go to the proclub.com and check it out if you're not. I know recently you've been through, the people who have been in there, we changed from cutting out the weight circles. In the past, when you got a bag of dog food, there was a little round weight circle on it, said how much was there. You cut those out, you kept them in a Ziploc baggie, and maybe at the end of the year you counted them, you handed it, you mailed it into the Pro Club. But the last 2 or 3 years, we've been switching that over to a digital based, where now you can just take a picture of your receipt from PetSmart and log into the website on your account and say upload, and it'll read the receipt and it'll deposit that receipt weight into your account. It's almost like having a direct deposit into your bank account. So there's no more cutting out the weight circles. But what the Pro Club really is for us as Purina to give back to those, volume feeders. And, it could be a person like an amateur like myself who lives on a half-acre lot in the village. And if I've got, 3 or 4 dogs here at the house, and I've got 2 dogs that live with Tom, at the kennel with Tom, I could still, I think the minimum is a 5-dog ownership, and what we do is we give back 12 cents. It's right around 12 cents a pound of what you buy, and we put that back into your account. And then you can also designate when you sign up, like I might, if I sign up and I'm a German Shorthair owner, I could, click on affiliation of the National German Shorthair Pointer Club of America, and we will match funds into those accounts as well. So what we're doing for the retailer and the consumer, we're also doing for those clubs and the research that goes towards that. But it's definitely something to take advantage of. And here again, it doesn't matter, if you get it on sale, if you get a bag of 30% off, we're going by what weight you bought. We don't care what you paid for it. So it's based on the weight that you submit. And again, Terry, Jim, and I, that's what we're out in the field for. If you've got an issue with your, submission, it didn't go through, I got an error, shoot us an email or shoot me a text or something, let me know. I can look up your number and I can dig it through it with you. So, I knew the transition might be a little tough for people, but we're here to help you. And if you take advantage of it, it's a great cost saving and a great program that we can give back. So, that's not another way other than just field trialing, how Purina works for you, the consumer.
Super. So here just a day or so ago, I got an email that talked about some changes coming up. You want to talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, sure. We're coming up. Yep. The new branding. That's a picture there of, if you scroll down a little bit, we call it a new logo. It's basically the same logo with gold and that gold arc on the top. In the packaging, this is really going to help for those who go into the retail stores. We were getting a little bit of feedback that, if you got a new puppy and my breeder told me to feed Purina Pro Plan. Well, sometimes you walked into the store and the puppy was mixed with the saver and the focus was here. And there was no rhyme or reason a lot of times to those shelving, the way they were all set up. With this new branding, we've also come up with new packaging that when it sits on the shelf, you should be able to walk through a lot more efficiently and see, okay, I need that sensitive skin and stomach. There it is. So they really put a lot of time and effort into, how it's going to come across to the consumer. I don't know if can you scroll up to the back side of that one? Where you were talking earlier. Well, anyway, right there.
Right here.
On the back, it's more graphic than words. You can, pick out that one was.
Yeah, right.
That one was a 2717. So just quickly, you can see, what, the protein, the fat, is it good for joints? What do we have in there? Is the omega-3 in there? So it's going to be a little easier to comprehend instead of having to read through all the benefits on the bag. So graphically, it's going to be a lot better. The other thing that has come out too is that a lot of people are familiar with Fortiflora and the probiotics. Two things. Well, we've come out with a tablet instead of a powder. Well, actually, you can still get the powder if you like to sprinkle that on the dog's food if it helps them to eat while you're traveling. But we've also come out with Fortiflora as a tablet. So now you got this big jar of tablets you keep in your truck or you keep in your trailer. You walk around at night after you fill the bowl, you just throw a tablet in there and they eat that up just like it was a piece of food. So it's a little bit easier than ripping out those packets and sprinkle it on the food. But that probiotic has now been introduced into, if I say all, that might be incorrect, but I want to say the majority of all of our foods now, there's going to be a level of probiotics actually in the food. So you might still need with some dogs to supplement, give them another tablet at night, or if you're traveling, if they're not drinking the water or something's not, their stomach needs to be settled correctly, always keep a bottle of it. But a lot of that will all be put right into the ingredients in the food as well. So the branding, probiotics, another, thing that we've started, actually, we probably started about 6 months or maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. We have an Instagram page, Pro Plan Sporting Dogs. So we've dovetailed that. Now we've got a Facebook page, but Instagram is really driving a lot of, as we were talking about mentors and amateurs, and you really look at the people that we really want to get, the millions of guys that hunt and gals that are going out there, with their dogs or whatever. Social media is obviously where it's at, no matter what platform it's going to be, Facebook, Instagram, I'm never going to say TikTok or anything. I can't believe I even said that. I know what that is. But we do have an Instagram page, and what a lot of people are realizing is by them, posting to their own Instagram and tagging Pro Plan Sporting Dogs, they're leveraging our web of influence through Purina and our millions of followers with their own brand. So, for instance, Dave Trahan, the president of NABDA, with his kennel, if he tags Pro Plan Sporting Dogs, his kennel name and Pro Plan, they're going to work together to help his brand. Bruce Meinard on High Five Kennels is really good at it. There, Garrett Gun Dogs, a guy in New Mexico with gun dog training. There's a few that have really taken advantage of it, and we're really happy to see them supporting us, and by means us supporting them by having that platform for them to use. One thing that's in the works that hopefully I don't slip and drop names because it's not completely done yet, but we're starting a new platform that's going to kind of dovetail with Instagram, and it's going to be in an app form. And we are working with one of the larger outdoor, I'll just say retailer kind of places to work with their app. But they're going to develop a website on their app for us. So, and they've asked Purina to be the driving force behind the Sporting Dogs division. I mean, they've got everything from fishing, duck hunting, deer hunting, but the bird dog and the Sporting Dogs is going to be driven. So that'll come out probably here, within the year, maybe in the next 6 months. But here again, it's another way for us to put our resources back to help the hunters, to help the brand, and in return, obviously, get them to follow Purina. So, it's not always about hunt tests and field trials. There's the social media that we're really looking out for. Carl Gunzer, my boss, has done a great job in spearheading this, and I'm looking forward to it. I've sat on a few calls, and actually I can't wait to share it because it's going to be fun. It's going to take you through buying a puppy to field trialing, and everything in between, from testing to Joe Hunter that wants to go up to grouse hunt in the Shawamigan. But we're excited for that.
There's no grouse up there.
No, there's not. Actually, there's a lot of wolves, so just stay away from there. But no, we're excited for that, and that just shows what Purina's committed to. I mean, I'm glad they're committed to the field trial game and the hunt test and the VDD and the NASTRAs, but I'm also glad that they're. I mean, the conservation groups that we partner with. I think you might have seen a lot of stuff that I'll share on Facebook. Ducks Unlimited, Rough Grouse Society, with the Pheasant Fest that we do every year. It's just proud to be with a company like that. We were planning on, until the COVID-19 came on, the DU outdoor event was going to be in the Texas Motor Speedway this year in Dallas. And we basically had control of the bird dog event, or, the whole section was basically DU and Purina. We were going to bring in speakers, and unfortunately it all got canceled or put off. But no, we're really excited about working with them and continuing to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's been a pretty good run with you on the Purina side, so that's been fun. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff you get to do, the field trials you get to go to. I should throw this up here. We did have a comment. So Kevin Dixon gave it.
Yep. Thanks, Kevin. I believe Kevin's got a couple dogs, or some dogs, with Randy Anderson. Okay. So
yep, sounds right.
No, thanks. We always appreciate the support, and we work hard for it. So to see people appreciate what we do, it means a lot to us. So, well, one thing I will throw in there, we were talking about the dog food, just real quick. Our headquarters are in St. Louis, but we have a research facility over in St. Joe, Missouri, which is by Kansas City, and the amount of I personally haven't been there yet, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but it's like a field trip. I want to go there and spend a couple days there, because they do research and testing on dogs, and I believe cats as well. But one of the research studies that they did, and hopefully I'll get this right, I'll try and give you the Cliff Notes version, is they did a lifespan study on dog. And basically the goal was, okay, if we feed it the correct amounts based on our research and based on our nutrition, or if we feed it maybe a little bit more, what's going to happen? And basically, I think we can all, it wasn't like an aha moment, but a dog fed the correct amount, kept in shape, can live up to 1.5 years more than a dog that's, heavy, hard on their bones. But that was a 20-year study that they did to put to this, to figure out the research. They'd start some dogs and those would be done 12 years. They'd start another round, but it was over 20 years that they did that lifestyle study. Basically, so you turn the bag around and it says, okay, for a dog of this pounds, you need to feed 2.5 cups. Well, they just don't make that up based on, well, we think this is how much they'll eat. There's research and studies that go behind that. We have a whole facility near Kansas City that does a lot of that. And those dogs and cats, obviously, when they're done with their study, are spayed and neutered and donated or adopted out. So I'm really proud of, we always say, the 500 vets, scientists, and nutritionists that we have on staff that just keep producing a great product.
That's actually a pretty great point. You look at the feeding recommendations on a dog food bag, and you don't really know where they come from, right? I mean, right. In some cases, because I promise you, there are a lot of dog food companies that do not have a 20-year study to come up with that number.
Yeah, and not just that study. And again, hopefully I get this correctly. There's the organization that overrides all of it is called AFCO, and AFF. See, I couldn't even. Carl's probably listening, and I'll probably get reprimanded for that. But AFCO has 2 standards to produce dog food, and you can produce a bag of dog food, but if you meet one of the 2 ways. The one way is AFCO comes up with a basic recipe or ingredients minimums. So if you have so much fat, so much protein, so much omega-3s, if you meet their standards, on the back of your bag, it'll say this dog food has met AFCO feeding standards. So that's one way. The other way is what we do, obviously, and some other companies do it as well, is AFCO, you have to test the actual food that you're producing on animals, and that's what we do. So that standard will say this meets AFCO testing requirements. So you can look at your bag of dog food and know if that dog food was tested on animals or if it was just met the standard of the ingredients. So we're really proud of that, and I'm very proud of the research, and to start from there to end up with the many versatile champions that NAVDA passes are the all-age champions. It says a lot for that food.
Well, let's go back to the field trial. So no, that's great. Hey, that's what you're our Purina rep. That's why we have you here. So on the field trial side, your season kind of starts let's just say it starts in the summer, right?
You're right. Yeah. End of August.
Where do you go?
Usually in the beginning of September. And when I say where do I go, I can kind of float around and do, I try to hit some of the different ones. The one place that I have not been is out to the West Coast. So I do need to get out to Reno and those trials that are out there. But in September, there's the prairie trials are getting going. NAVDA's BC testing is going. That's usually either in Iowa or Ohio. So 2 years ago, I was in Trail City, South Dakota for those prairie trials that were out there. And then I went to Mingo, Ohio for the NAVDA versatile testing. They call it their invitational. I think that was it's either 2 years ago. It's either in Mingo or Iowa. And then I'll move on, to the grouse. Now that I'm covering the walking stakes, the grouse trials will start up, Wisconsin, Minnesota. The German short hair nationals in Eureka, I believe, are in October. A lot of these kind of run together. But then really I watched those major nationals trials, and I tried to get to the big ones, and then I tried my best to try and pick out some new ones. I'll tell you, when I first got hired, the very first trial that I got to go to was in the Pheasant Championship in Baldwinsville, New York, I believe. And and so I got to meet and spend time with George and Mary Tracy and Mike and Jeanette, and I believe it was war paint. Sugar and war paint. It was pheasant. I sat on a horse and I watched that dog put on a clinic, and I was dumbfounded. I mean, it went from, and I won't say bird to bird to bird, but I mean, it made its moves, but he knew the right places to be at the right time and when to show up. And I was pinching myself, and that was the very first trial that I got to go to. So then it come in November, December. December, we have the all-age invitationals at Ames. I'd say there's some Brittany trials in October, November that I went to in Kansas. Again, I can just flip open the American field and say, okay, I need to go to this one. I haven't been to that one. But come February, I'm pretty much hunkered down at Grand Junction from the Hall of Fame banquets that we put on, and then we sponsor to the all-age national championship. The West Tennessee has a trial around that time, and to back up in January, you really get down to Florida, Georgia, the Continental, the Shooting Dog Nationals, February, the beginning of February. We go over to Sedgefields, and that's a beautiful place to run, great people. And then March, you start you're watching those points, and you start to see who's going to go where, who's going to show up at the Egyptian, who's going to go to Michigan. And then a lot of northern trials, we'll start a lot of walking trials up here in March and April. And then May, pretty much as they're wrapped up, we work on contract issues, budgeting issues, start getting ready for the Purina Awards in June. And basically, I won't say take a rest, because I don't really need rest. I could do this in my sleep and I would love it. So then we get ready to start again in the middle of August. So it's, like I said, Jim, Terry, and Terry, they kind of have their planned out places they like to go. And I really need to get a little more flexible and just pick some new ones and go to a lot and see a lot of different people.
Well, I know this year you'll be a little more involved in the grouse trial side.
Yep. Yeah.
If I was you, I would try to make it to the Lake States. It's an absolutely awesome trial. I actually am going to be judging it this year.
Okay.
But, last year was this last year was the 75th Lake States Championship,
Mm-hmm.
and I was supposed to be there, and I had to bag out, and they asked me to come back again this year. So I will be there, but it's
awesome.
Just for you. I don't think you've been to those grounds probably yet, from what we've discussed, and I think and that's a really super trial. So
okay,
that's one I'd try to put on your schedule.
Yeah,
even though they're downgraded in judges this year, but it'll be fun anyway.
That you mentioned that, when Dean did retire, so I'm going to cover the cover dogs and U.S. Complete, and the NBHA, and the Shoot to Retrieve Nastra. I got to go to the Cover Dog Invitational last year, the Grand National, I should say, and that was great to be up in the Northeast. That's one place I've never been, and it was a great time, great people, and a little bit different walking in those quote unquote mountains than the grasslands of Wisconsin.
Yep, it is.
We might be a little bit thicker, but up here, but they have a lot of rocks and a lot of hills.
Yeah. In Wisconsin, it can get pretty, at the right time of the year, right? It can get pretty slippery and get, especially in the, over at Chippewa. But so you've been to a lot of grounds now. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What's a couple of your 2 or 3 favorite spots to go watch a dog?
I like Sedgefields. I don't get there enough. The Shooting Dog National is there. Bill Lee, their great host, Heather Klink and their team that put that all on. Great facilities. It's a nice place to ride, watch, great dogs, and they usually have a great draw. And this was before I won there, but I always like Grove Springs for whatever reason. It's kind of a little bit of Midwest, a little bit of these deep valleys and pockets that you can let a dog roll on. You're not in the South, you're not in the North, but I like Grove Springs. I'll tell you, it's true when they say about the Continental, though. I mean, Dixie is, with all those live oaks and the Randy Floyd there and his crew, and just the Continental is something that it's like, I don't want to say the Super Bowl because we're up against the draft right now. I'm sure people are watching that instead of watching me. But between the Continental, Ames, the Florida, the Southeast, it's hard to nail down one. But those all-age trials down there are unbelievable, and the hospitality is, you can't beat it, especially coming from the North and you go down there. Us Yankees going down south. They are ungodly polite and nice, and I can't thank them enough. It's Dixie, though, is one of the greatest rides that I ever rode. It's just beautiful. This is a plantation life versus being up here in the cold and the wet and it's I like Dixie.
It's pretty funny when Gary Lester says last week he likes to get to Dixie, gets down there because it gets him out of the ice and mud. And I'm up here, in the tundra. So I thought that was pretty funny. But there's something to say. That's one place, and I have not been to Dixie, and I have it on my schedule, but I love it.
Even if you can go there for one of the amateur championships, or go there for even the start of the Continental when the Derby's running. Again, it's great. It's great people. I'm just trying to think of some other ones, not to be just so pigeonholed with the all age. Hoffman's nice. I mean, there again, it's different grounds. The ground is different. It's like a sandy sand. The wind is different. I mean, all these places offer something different for a dog. So that's the one thing that I find, I don't want to say amazing but if you follow some of these animals, some of these dogs that come middle of July, they're going to be up in the Dakotas where it's going to be warm, it's going to be hot, but then they're going to go beyond those types of grounds. Then they're going to swing down through, Grove Springs, and they're going to swing down through the Midwest, and they're going to run down in Dixie, and then they're going to be up at Hoffman. Every ground, it's different. And for those dogs to be able to adapt and those handlers to be able to push a dog, pull a dog through, handle a dog, they're amazing athletes. I don't want to say I'm dumbfounded because I've seen it. I mean, I've seen Dunn's Tried and True win on the prairies and then go down to the Southeastern and win there. And it was just, he's a powerhouse, but he knew what to do on those grounds. So it's pretty cool to see that. So I really like I hate to be prejudiced, but Solon Springs and the Buena Vista in Wisconsin, it's very unique. I mean, they're wild birds. They're jumpy. They're hard to point. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Solon Springs or the Barrens used to be one of the first stops coming off the prairies. People would come to Wisconsin to run that.
Solon Springs was. Yep, not Namakagon Barrens. Not the Namakagon Barrens, but Solon Springs was. Yep, they'd come in on the train yards. They're still
on the train. Yeah.
Yep,
they're still there.
There are still, there's a couple old pet cemeteries, dog cemeteries.
Yep, I've been there. And are the kennels still up, or did they just take those down?
Well, I shouldn't. I haven't been there in the last couple of years, but I believe they're still there.
There's
They've
so
been there
much
a long
history.
time.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's so much
it's the
history up
neatest
here.
place. That it's got a huge clubhouse there that was built back in the Conservation Corps days, all but built out of stone. And yeah, no, it's really a cool place. I've spent a fair amount of time there. And you probably weren't around, but they used to run the U.S. Chicken Championship, which is now run out.
By Jordan.
Yeah,
I think Scotty runs it.
Yep, and that used to run at Solon. So I saw a lot of great dogs there. I saw, some of, even I'm trying to think of who I even saw there, but Freddie Rail had come, and Fiddler ran there. A lot of really good dogs that ran there, including I've seen some great amateurs run there too. But yeah, it really is a neat place. It's
I mean, Wisconsin with woodcock, grouse, prairie chickens, sharp tails. You can't really call pheasants wild around here, but I mean, we could hold 4 probably national championships right here in this state. And Buena Vista has an ungodly amount of history. I mean, from Harold Ray winning there, Sean Derrick winning there. I mean, I always go back to Tom Waite, but when Tom was at school, he lived there and trained there on the Buena Vista. So, I mean, I'm fortunate to be here, but like you say, to go south, I always tell my daughter, I say, you can go to school anywhere in the country. You might as well go somewhere warm. So, I really am blessed to be able to see a lot of and the people. Again, it's wherever you go, it's usually very accommodating.
Yeah, that's been one of those themes that's come up time and time again, right? There's I don't know, I'll say it's 4 real segments that stand out that are all great in this game. One is the country we get to see.
Right.
There's so many different kinds of country. It's treated differently. It's managed differently. 2 is the birds, or the game that we're chasing. There's so many different game birds.
Correct.
I obviously am one that has always kind of lended myself to really loving the wild birds, but I've definitely trained and ran and won on liberated birds too. But and then the animals, whether it's mostly the dogs, of course, we talk about all the time, and the canine athletes, and that's what it's all centered around. But the people are become really an important part of the game and the community that we surround ourselves in. So those are all good reasons to show up and keep coming back to the sport.
And that's why there are also great reasons for us to continue our support. Purina realizes that, and we realize obviously that's we need to conserve the land that we have been given and the resources of the wildlife as well. So that's why we give to the Ducks Unlimited and all those organizations and DU and Rough Grouse Society and sponsor the amount of field trials that we do across the AKC and the American Field and all the UKC with Nastra. So we're proud of that, very proud.
One thing I guess I should touch on is you've obviously been pretty well involved in the walking field trial game. You were an officer in the NBHA.
Correct.
A lot of our people starting in the sport today are coming through the walking game, whether it's the grouse trials or it's the NBHA US Complete type stuff. How do we get more? And maybe it comes through the conservation clubs. Maybe it comes through some of the stuff you're doing on social media. But how do we get more of those people, the hunters, bird dog owners, and I'm even going to say some non-hunters, to show up to a field trial and get involved?
Well, I think it goes back to what I started by saying first of all, we need to get them there and try and figure out, is it through, having club days, picnic days, training days. But then, latch yourself onto someone that's new that's there. Don't be the guy that's just hanging out at his truck kicking stones and, in the parking lot and telling stories. I mean, invite them over, ask them if they got any questions. We've even had some people that, might be interested and didn't know what it was like, but we would give them a dog to run in the Derby stake. Just go out there and we'll walk along with you. That's where the walking game can, be a great springboard into the trial game. I'll tell you, NAVDA, NASTRA, obviously they're all walking organizations. They are very good. They're very strong. Their memberships are, consistently growing. But there again, it can be a guy with a crate in the back of his truck that's put in some really hard work with a bunch of his friends and his mentors that can go out and test and go out and, run a shoot to retrieve. I was one of them that had a mentor that helped me get on past that and move on. And that was in the walking game. We always thought we have a CSET flush stake, bring your gun dogs out, just run, have fun. It's not recognized by the American field, but, we give out the plaques, we give out the coupons, you're still dog of the year. So some of those, guys and gals will then continue on and get a broke dog, but some of them just like competing and staying in that stake. I mean, that's one of our larger stakes. So offering different opportunities for them to do, but I really say if you can have your arms open to somebody that's new, I mean, they might not dress the same as you. They might not have the same type of dog as you. I mean, they might come to a trial with, an off-breed or a continental, but it doesn't matter. A bird dog's a bird dog. And if we can get them in there, show them, your Facebook page, show them, the different groups that are out there. So when they go home, they didn't forget about you. They can start scrolling through their phone and following us. Some people move on, some people don't. That's why NAVDA and NASTRA are strong. I mean, I came from shoot to retrieve, and I can name probably 10 people right now that were in Wisconsin that are now field trialers. I mean, pretty good amateurs. Johnny Mattice, he started in NASTRA. Now he's got an Aaron's Prometheus with Luke. But he started there. I started there. I mean, we've got a whole part of our club that started in shoot to retrieve and moved on. But there's some that are still there. But again, I had a mentor from day one that, be it my friends getting me hunting, someone starting me in shoot to retrieve. I think it's just keeping your arms open to people. They're not looking for anything free. They're not looking for a free win. They're just looking to be accepted into, hey, I like my dog. I mean, what can I do with it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. And obviously a lot of them are going to stay in shoot to retrieve or NAVDA. I mean, and that's
great. If they stay,
those organizations are important also. So
they're very good to us. Yes.
We need to keep people coming into the field trial sport itself, the outside of those, the actual field trials. And I think that any time that anybody can do anything with a dog, I'm all for it. I mean, I always have been. And I think it's awesome, but but this is a game that I've kind of fell in love with a long time ago. And I have been, I've run the shoot to retrieve trials. I've never been to a NAVDA trial, never been to a hunt test or something like that, but that's just not my game. I'm really interested in this. And so,
and most of those organizations, all have something to do with youth. They'll either have a youth scholarship fund, they'll have youth events, they'll have youth days where they'll just let the youth run some dogs, test them, run them through natural ability, and now the field trial people and clubs are really catching on to that, and there's some really good youth events too. But you got to understand is it's great to get a youth there, but once they leave there, they don't have a car. They can't jump in there and drive to the next one. They've got to have the parent to take them. So that's where even a mentor to a parent of a youth that's there to say, hey, can I answer any questions? Do you know really what we're doing? Just be open to it. And we I'd have to say 9 times out of 10, everyone's welcome me. And I think they could do that too across the game.
Yeah, no, I think so. I do think, a lot of times we're at a field trial, especially when it's a championship. It just seems like everything gets so busy, right?
Right.
90% of the people that are there are really, really competitive and really trying to concentrate on what they're doing, and they kind of forget about that stuff, you know. And I know that's kind of changed a little bit for me. And I was at it was a championship last year, and I was there to run a dog and just just enjoy it. And I didn't care if I won or lost. And that's not oh, not by no means has it always been that way. So I was looking at it a little bit different way, and I could just see that, yeah, hey, this I I've been kind of on both sides of this. So
Sure.
yeah, it's important, especially but the weekend trials, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's not what I talk about, and it's a little easier, say on a one course walking trial than it is on a multiple course grouse trial or something, because it's like everybody's trying to work as a team to get vehicles moved and get
Right.
everybody to the courses, and you kind of forget that there's a new guy standing there and you walk right by him where you could, stop and,
Yeah.
I guess we can't shake hands anymore, but maybe you can
No.
bump elbows or something. And,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but
No.
yeah, it's important to latch on to those new people when they show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Most definitely. I'm always a visual kind of person, and if you can, show me what you guys are doing or show me how this works, I mean, I always want to know more, and so that's what I did. So.
Well, obviously you've had a dog that's had a fair number of good performances. I got to get a couple from you of other people's dogs that you've seen that have done a great job. And we're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. We're just
No,
going
yeah,
to go out there and remember them. And they can't be Tom Waits. No, I'm just kidding. They can be. They can be.
They'd be my dogs if they were Tom. No, I'm just kidding. One of them that I really remember, and it was a shooting dog at Sedgefields again. I think it was last year. I'm usually only there for a day or two, and I got to watch Tommy Rice and Thrill Me and George Tracy, and I think it was War Paint. It was one of George's dogs, and I thought Tommy did a hell of a job with Thrill Me, and I was at a different event, a couple of days later, and I was talking back and forth. Oh, how's it going at the national? Blah blah blah, and I think they were talking that. I don't think it was George's dog. It was anyway. His brace mate was leading, and I'm like, man, what did I miss? Well, they did end up naming Thrill Me the national champion, so I'm like, she did a great job. I'll never forget that one. Chinkapin Bill at the callback did a great job. Speaking of tried and true, I was at the Southeastern, and he was doing a great job, and he was just going, side to side and moving forward. And I can't remember if Will Dunn, the owner, was scouting or if he was just in the gallery. But his horse was zigzagging through the gallery like everyone else's, and it was wet. And he came right through the middle of the gallery, right in the middle of a puddle, and splashed this lady on the horse that was right behind him. And his face just turned beet red. And he was so into the moment and watching that dog. So it was almost like, it was almost more fun to see Will handle the excitement of his dog. I'm afraid I'm going to let people down if I say something.
Don't worry about that.
No, there's just too many and too good ones. To see. But to watch a dog go 3 hours at Ames, win, lose, or draw. I mean, to sit on that horse for 3 hours and watch that dog and continue on and continue on and continue on. And there again, it's just to see the type of athlete those dogs are. And then, I mean, I haven't been to the Invitational yet or the shooting dog, where they've got to go, 2 or 3 days straight for an hour and then 2 hours at the end. But that's something to see. I mean, that puts everything, our weekend trials in perspective when a dog like that can go, and then I want to go more.
Well, that's one thing I was going to mention when you mentioned you went to the Grand National Grouse and Woodcock Invitational. Great field trial, probably in my mind, maybe the best field trial in the country. But any of the invitationals are awesome.
Right.
If you can get to the Shooting Dog Invitational in Arkansas, I think the Quail Invitational in Kentucky would be another one I have not been to, and I think that would be really a great one. So you're pretty lucky to be able to put those on your map and say, hey, that's what I'm going to get to.
You're right.
That's pretty cool. And
I'm really blessed, and and honestly, to see an avid dog do the utility work that it's got to do. I mean, to be able to sit in a blind and mark multiples and be distracted. People like, well, I can do that with a duck dog and blah blah blah. Well, then take it to the field and have it on or have it run, and then take it, you know, and heal through all that. There's so many aspects a dog has to do to go to the Invitational again, even as a man, and then Astra. When you go to a national championship, you've got to go through 128 dogs to get down to the final 4. I mean, so you're going day after day after day after day to beat the cut. And so there's a structure, there's a game, there's something out there for every level of dog that you want to have, and that's what's encouraging.
Yeah. No, I believe it. Well, we're going to start wrapping up here.
Okay.
Before I do, I want to mention again. Remember, this is out there on YouTube. It's out there on Facebook. Feel free to share it with everybody you know. Go to YouTube, hit the bell, like and share it from YouTube. Also, if you hit the bell, you'll get notified whenever we're having another broadcast. Have some great ones coming up. I had a really, really exciting one kind of commit to coming on at some point today. I'm overwhelmed. It's going to be a lot of fun, and so there's some good stuff coming in the future. I once again want to thank Greg. Greg, you got anything else you wanted to say from the Purina side?
No, not at all. But thank you very much for supporting us and the field trial game by what you guys put together. And again, if anyone's got any questions, I mean, they can reach out to you or reach out to me on Facebook, or get a hold of me through I guess my email or my text or my phone, and just let me know how I can help you. And we'll go from there.
You're not real hard to find, so if somebody's looking to find Greg, Facebook's not a bad spot, obviously.
Let's start there, and then shoot me a message, and I'll definitely get you in touch with the right people. If
you can't find them and you know where I'm at, feel free to contact me. I'll hook you up with them. So we've got a great resource that obviously comes at this from the same place that everybody else that's probably watching this does, as a lover of dogs and the outdoors. So I want to thank you again for coming on.
Sure.
So signing off for Greg Blair and Bill Holton at Field Trial Central. Have a great night, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.